Welcome back, everybody. And that's as far as I will go.
The recurring joke here is it's hard to do an intro.
The intro is going to be the fact that there is no intro.
Sometimes just in general, intros are sometimes just really in your face. And I think that what we have cornered here is a really nice, kind of easy way to ease into a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, other thing, because obviously we're going to talk about Fallout's done. Mm-hmm. People's been loving it. I loved it. I thought it was great. But I started watching Young Justice again.
Okay.
I started watching Young Justice again, and seasons 1 and 2, amazing. The beginning of 3, I was trying to figure out 3, didn't really care for 3 at the time. But I did watch all of it.
I still haven't watched the last. Well, the when they brought it back, I haven't watched that.
Okay, that's 3 and 4.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I didn't watch that.
3 is when they finally came back.
Okay.
After Invasion, years later, and then they did season 4 and finished with season 4.
Okay, maybe it's just season 4 that I didn't watch.
3 they added the new people, not like how Justice League went from Justice League to Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah.
They added a new bit of the cast, made Garth more involved.
So yeah, I think I did watch season 3. I don't know if I finished it though.
It was. I gotta go back and finish season 3 again. I want to rewatch it to see how I liked it, because season 4, I was watching it. The first couple episodes, the first bit of arc, I'm like, I'm not feeling it, and then it picks up and it's back to being really good. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is really good again. And they a lot of the themes that they carried, a lot of the things that they do with it is very interesting. But I think the show's canceled now. Yeah.
That's fine. Young Justice is really good though. I feel the same way about Teen Titans. It's like they ended it on a cool way, and then it's never coming back.
They're gonna do the movie.
Or
was that a series?
I don't know. They did a movie. They did Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans.
No, didn't they just recently say they want to do the Titans again?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's live action or not, but...
Tired of getting my... No, I'm talking specifically of the animated Teen Titans show.
That one. The original animated
Teen Titans. Not Teen Titans Go. I know people love that show, and I get it. It's just not for me.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about majority of the shows out there.
These just aren't for me.
Like Friends, how so many people tell me, you should watch Friends. And I'm like...
Friends isn't for me.
No. I had living single, so yeah. But yeah... Also, surprisingly enough, there's a bit of Fantastic Four news that I'm starting to see, but none of it's actual. I think it's just rumor shit.
Okay.
So obviously, that means Fallout. Fallout is more important.
Okay.
Because Fallout finished.
We have to tease Fantastic Four in every single episode that we do. If we do a finale, that's when we'll talk about Fantastic Four, and not a moment sooner. But we're planting seeds. This is how you tell a compelling story. You plant seeds.
And then at just a random moment, guess what, guys? I have the story. But Fallout's been...
Yes.
It was very interesting that what was the showrunner for it? Somebody who was a part of... I think it's a Netflix show. I'm gonna have to figure it out. But they were complaining about dropping all episodes at once.
Oh yeah.
What's the point of dropping all?
Oh yeah, someone from Netflix.
Yeah.
Which I thought was weird because that's what Netflix does.
They do, and they have had other things where they kind of release weekly.
They'll usually do. They do it in a more annoying way where they're like, here's 7/8 of the season, and you get the 8th later. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's so awful. So, but. They said that about it when it dropped, and it dropped all episodes. And I compared it to X-Men 97. Imagine they dropped all those episodes.
I don't know if I'd like that as much.
I don't, and I was trying to figure out why I feel like both aspects are true. of you don't need to drop all the episodes, and sometimes dropping all episodes is fine.
Yeah.
And I think Fallout was a good reason for it.
Yeah,
and the
I
reason
agree.
Is I've come to realize the shit that makes it annoying is when a show is doing the weekly, but then they don't leave you with anything. And this X97's been a good show for that, because after the first 2 episodes dropped, they left you with enough to be able to talk about, digest what happened, and still look forward to what's coming next. They didn't leave you like just on a regular, everyday, nothing happened.
Yeah.
See you next week. And it's like, why would you do that? Why they made it worth, with the episodes finishing, they made it worth it. I don't know if they always planned to do that with Fallout, but it felt more so as they wanted everything to lead to the next thing, for you just to continuously watch it type of format, which is good. I thought it worked for me.
I loved it. When I saw they had all the episodes out, I was pretty excited. And then I just think that, like, I don't know if it's because they wanted to get it all out there. Yeah. Which is kind of strange for Prime releases. I'm thinking of like The Boys, where they do it weekly.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, but I think with Invincible, the first season at least, they did it all at once. So I think they just kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, trying to figure it out. I think that's what they're trying to do, because they want.
I could be wrong about Invincible, but
yeah, but I think they're trying to figure out like retention.
It's a tough thing, but with Prime, everyone already has Prime all the time anyways.
Yeah.
If you are a consumer today, you probably have a Prime subscription.
And also, this is possibly not going to get me in good places, but why the fuck are they showing ads now?
Oh, yeah.
Prime? And just automatically, it went from you're paying for this already, no ads.
They snuck ads in there.
Bro, it was so, and then the motherfuckers, I'm watching it, and then an ad will pop up at the beginning, and it was like, this is brought to you by Samsung.
Yes.
And it's going to be ad-free. It's like, this is not ad-free.
Yeah, you're showing me an ad. Every time that happened, the ad wouldn't load, and I had to go back and watch an ad anyways. It was like that feature didn't even work. I mean, yeah, we can sit here and this is what's so funny about Fallout, and I haven't said anything yet, but I also loved it. I love that world. I think they nailed the world. But what's so funny is that it's the show, without getting too much into spoilers or like us getting deeper into the plot, but at the end of the day, it's about really big mega corporations controlling the world. And I was watching, I'm like, this is really good. This is a scathing like rebuke of this kind of like concept. And then I'm like, it gets interrupted by an ad on a streaming platform that I didn't know did ads. And I'm like, holy shit.
Right? Yeah.
But that's okay.
I wonder if that's like everybody's wake up to like, shit, did Prime does ads now?
Yeah, I think that was too. I think I've noticed. Well, they used to do it I don't know if you ever like, because I don't pay for the like 42 different subscription add-ons on Prime, to watch. Sometimes I'll do it for a little bit, like to get Showtime or one of those things, so I can watch a movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll have the feature where it's like you can get the subscription add-on, or you can watch it with ads, and I'm like, that's fine. Watching a movie with ads is completely fine by me because I feel like they're less invasive.
That's barbaric.
Really?
In my opinion.
It reminds me of watching a movie on TV, except it's not censored, thankfully, which is like the worst part about watching a movie on TV.
That's true.
I don't mind it as much, but like when it's a show and I didn't know there was going to be ads, that's horrendous. Luckily, Fallout episodes are pretty long.
Yeah. At a point in time, like I didn't have cable. All I had was streaming. Still don't have cable, but I don't have streaming. Yeah. And my brother had pays for like YouTube Red, so I was on YouTube Red, not receiving commercials on that either. Yeah. And I remember, I think it was damn near like maybe 4 years of not seeing a commercial. I seen one, and I was...
That's how I was.
I was so distraught and so fucked up. Like, what is going on? What is this? And just being upset. And my friend was like, what are you talking about? This is just now. I was like, why you act like this is normal? And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. It is normal. It's a regular thing. But that's
once
how
you
I
get
feel.
back into it, you just kind of you find it normal again. Because I was like you too, where everything that I watched was ad free. I paid for all of the well, that was also like years ago. I feel like a few years ago, where there was only like 2 or 3 big streaming services.
Yeah.
If you paid the premium, which was only like a couple of dollars more, you had no ads.
You pay the premium back then was their lowest tier.
The lowest tier now, yeah.
My God, so terrible. But yeah, back to Fallout. It was.
You have to stop and talk. We have to stop and talk about streaming at some point. I mean, no, that's what this kind of stems from.
It stems from all the issues. But I don't know shit about Fallout. I think I've said that before. I don't know shit about Fallout. And I enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
But I had to be very self-conscious at certain points because there's shows that I know the history to, and I tell people they should watch it. And
right.
I'm like, is this what people feel like? Is this the people who like terrible renditions of stuff because they don't know the history?
They don't know anything about it.
The people who know the history is like, no, this is awful. Like, am I becoming that person? I had those thoughts.
It feels good when you're actually not beholden to it sometimes. I'm trying to think of what was like that for me. Well, I told you, Last of Us was kind of like that. Yeah. I knew a little bit about it. I knew the overarching plot, but I don't know what happens all the way through. So watching it, I was kind of like, oh my God, they're at like a weird, creepy church cannibal thing. And I was like, does that happen in the game? It's just stuff like that where I was just like, oh, this is really cool. But the thing with Fallout is it's a franchise, right? And Last of Us, there's 2 games. I'm going to keep comparing it to that because I think that these 2 shows are game franchise, like multimedia franchises done really well in an adaptation.
Yeah, this is we're at an extremely weird time because it's 2 adaptations, like you said, done very well, and then we also have not even a reboot, technically continuation with 97.
Yeah,
it's doing really well too, and that's not. This
I
is
would
not
compare.
like
X-Men 97, I think gets thrown in the mix too, where it's like, okay, people still have steam. I think you get worried that like the steam for adaptations is starting to die down, especially on shows.
Yeah,
but then you luckily get brought back in with stuff like this. But with Fallout, it's got a huge fan base, but even the fan base is very...
well, I think that's fine. I don't think it could be heard.
Okay. Well, either way, I'm not going to yell at my cats today. It's their birthday, so I can't yell at them. So a lot of the Fallout franchise fans can't even agree on like what's their favorite game. Yeah. And that's just an issue that's going to happen with game franchises. So I think that depending on who you ask and who their what their favorite Fallout installment is, they might have varying degrees of like love for the show. However, from what I've heard, a lot of people, even if they don't like certain things, like there's a couple things they did on the show that had people kind of like that are lore keepers of the franchise kind of be a little worried. And I think that it's too early to do that. And they've also, at this point, the show's been out for over a week now?
Something like
almost 2 weeks. It has to be 2 weeks. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, at this point, they're already kind of talking about a little bit more about the developmental process of what they were doing with the show and how it's not decanonizing anything so far, which is a big worry, I think, for people, which I get. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that that's not a valid argument because we are comic book fans. So
we're some collectively generalized, we're some of the worst fans.
Yeah, you can't get mad at someone being like, wait, hold on, what are you guys doing? Are you messing with the canon here?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked it. I thought that all of the characters were really good. I thought that they managed to do all of the different things about the game that I like. There's some certain things that they didn't get a chance to do, but a lot of stuff that they did get to do, I thought that they nailed the like way things look and feel, the visual, like the set work. I don't know enough about what went into development as far as set work.
Yeah,
It looks like practical.
I was hearing, oh man, I wish I really could remember this. They took a set in, where was it? There was already a place that was like run down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they found it and they just used that.
Okay.
And that kind of helped in some of the stuff. But yeah, the set pieces were nice.
Like all of the stuff in the vaults, for one thing, looks exactly like the game. Like 1-for-1, which is so cool. But then it doesn't look like they're walking in a big green screen the whole time. To the point even where some of it looks kind of hokey.
Yeah.
Like when they're opening the vault door and it's supposed to kind of be this like seamless clockwork rollout, it had that like practical effect kind of clunkiness.
Yeah.
That I was like, that looks like they actually might have built something to do that, which is crazy. You don't see that. It's 2024. Set work, everything's filmed in a big green or blue bubble now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe part of it is, but the fact that I'm going, it looks like practical is good enough for me.
Yeah, you got to take key moments and actually make some good practical effects.
Yeah.
Because that really does draw out and make things feel better. It makes things more aesthetically pleasing too.
Mm-hmm. I think we're at that point. I talked about this last time, how like I'd rather have practical effects in certain things, and I'd rather have practical effects just in general. I think at this point I'm gonna enjoy it more when it's done right. I'd also rather see bad practical than bad CGI.
That's true. It's more forgiving to the eye.
Yeah.
With the set of vaults, 31, 32, and 33, were these ones like specifically to the show, or?
I believe so. And that's the cool thing about Fallout in general. Like the notion of vaults is there's X amount in the country. And each game you get to see like a few, like a handful, which is always cool because how much are we spoiling on the show? No,
spoilers for.
Well, no. This isn't even like a spoiler for the show, I guess. I mean, I think if you know anything, whatever. Okay.
I'm just gonna say from here on out, just in case anything.
Just for here on out.
Spoiler, possibly. Yeah.
In the games, and this is what I always liked, is that every one of these vaults is like, and they talk about in the show, is like an experiment being put on by Vault-Tec or someone else.
Yeah.
Like they were all given these opportunities to lure people in to survive the nuclear like apocalypse. But the caveat is that they were gonna do weird shit to them without them knowing usually. And that was just because it was ran by people that you were like scientists or product testers or like that. And so there's a certain point in the show where, you know, there's suits in a room kind of discussing the possibilities. The ones that they mention are ones that exist in the games already. They're like little nods to those. But everyone is different, and that's what's so rewarding when you're playing the game. If you find a vault, you're like, oh, hell yeah. I cannot wait to see what fucked up shit is in here.
Right?
Yeah. What messed up society has been created for these people. So that was what was so alluring as a Fallout fan to watch the show, because everything happening in the show was good, but my favorite thing, honestly, watching the whole time was trying to figure out the mystery of those three vaults being essentially discovered by the kid from Hannah Montana, which is like the most insane thing.
Yo, yeah, he really did go out and
I thought he was going to be
search.
in one episode, but he was important to that plot moving forward.
I actually was, when they did that episode, I was like, oh man, please keep this kid. Please keep this kid. Which he's not a kid. He's like, what, 28, 32, something.
I
like
don't
that.
know.
But keep him a part of it, and it's very interesting, like how you're saying how the different things are run.
Yeah.
Because it makes more sense now, like post what happened,
Yeah.
to that little episode, that little clip of when the scientists fucked up.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, oh, don't let this be a state that scientists can't do this. Don't. This is not an accurate representation. We should still be in charge. That makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
Like after all of that, because of them trying to bid to keep. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this is. Don't worry about this. This is a fuck up. But this doesn't mean we're wrong. And
Yeah.
and it's like, no, you guys are insane.
You guys are insane, and that's what's so good.
Yeah.
Is the difference, and the cool thing about Fallout is the mix of like humor. It's like a dark humor that happens in the games, where it's like, this is fucked up, but it's also kind of funny. It's very irreverent. It plays fast and loose with like mortality and like the grim nature of the apocalypse and how that can be inherently funny, which is a really messed up thing to think about. But they do it really well on the show.
Yeah, they do.
There's so many scenes where like there's humor in it, and that's fun. Like they could have made this a really serious adaptation of the show, and I think that or an adaptation of the games, but I think that it tackles serious topics, but still maintains like all of the different things that you get out of it, which is like, it's fun, it's funny, there's action, it's kind of scary sometimes, it's very grim, and it's got some really fun music. If you're a fan of Fallout, you're probably a fan of, you like hearing these songs from like the 50s and 60s or even earlier, those crooner jams and stuff like that, all of that.
Good old Nat King Cole's.
Yeah, Nat King Cole is a mainstay, and so them doing that is really fun too, because there's an anachronistic aspect to it, which I've always liked as well too, because you can do a post, like if you don't do something like that, then you're doing like a Mad Max, or you're doing like there's so many apocalypse adaptations, but when you put some sort of designing principle on it, like this has this like retro feel to it, it sticks out, and they nailed it.
Yeah, and another thing that I really enjoyed about it was because McLean, like her character development, and just the naivety. God damn, I can't even say the word now.
She's very naive.
Yeah, her very naiveness is also shown in fucking Maximus.
Oh yeah.
They're both naive in different ways.
Mm-hmm. They're both indoctrinated in different ways.
Yeah, and it was very cool to like kind of grasp and look back to be like, okay, you got this person who's definitely being sheltered over here in this vault, and practically with a cult, and the way she's naive when she gets out and indoctrinated to that is interesting. And you would imagine this person who's out in quote unquote the real world, is more so level-headed on the base, but they are not.
He's probably even worse. Yeah, like honestly,
and it's wild. And the only person who seemed to be in their right frame of mind was fucking Walt Goggins.
Yeah.
His character, but...
Which is a messed up thing to say.
It is. And his whole entire thing is, he is... I was going to say he's burned. Because he looks burned, but no. He was burned by what happened with those with the corporations. And another, like, just a juxtaposition between him and his wife.
Yeah.
If you think about it, even though they didn't show it, but what they're trying to reach for with her, what was interesting is he was buried in the ground, being kept alive through like the medicine and shit, and only comes out every so often. Mm-hmm. She is technically being kept in a stasis pod. Yeah. Like just that juxtaposition, like she's in the upper echelon. Yeah. Even though you don't get to see her, and he's in the ground.
He's in the grounds.
Both being kept alive.
Yeah.
it's kind of, it's like, damn, that is like very two extreme different parts.
I didn't even think
of
about that.
society.
That's really cool that I didn't think about it like
right?
that.
Because that's him and his wife, and
Yeah.
it
Well,
is
that reveal, the bigger plot that's happening in the show that kind of explains the basis of the Fallout franchise as a whole, which is hard to do, but them basically showing and kind of explaining the larger lore as to why everything happened and who it happened with was so good and such a rewarding reveal. The last episode was just filled with like 10 different reveals.
Yeah.
And each one had me like mouth agape, just like, oh, wow. But of course, the biggest one being that like all of those people that worked for those companies are essentially still alive to some degree in different ways. I'm sure we're going to see some different versions of what that looks like. But that notion and just so cool. Having a bridge from the past to the present or the future, if you want to look at it that way as well too. I guess it's always the future if you think about it, because even the past is still like in the future, which is something that I don't think people understand sometimes about Fallout. And I certainly didn't when I first played like Fallout 3 when I was much, much younger. But as like you learn and you live in the world a little bit longer, you learn more about it. And that's such a cool concept too, is that, what if we never evolved? Which is kind of funny because us in the real world, how much did we progress as a society since that time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's obviously there's a condemnation of that. But having a bridge to the past with Walt Goggins' character and having him be so like integral to like the entire propaganda machine and be integral to having his wife work for Vault, like being important to what happens essentially with this like war that kills everybody was really cool. And we talked about it when we watched the trailer. Last time that we sat down and recorded, we watched the trailer and you and I both noted that we're like, oh, he's showing up in like different scenes and like almost like past and present, which is really, really cool. And there's just so many cool things to reveal because when they show the dad and when they do the dad reveal, like there's just so many good reveals
that really
episode.
was.
I saw it coming, like the scene before it happened, but
The way that they did it.
only up until that point where I'm like, oh my God, that's what's gonna happen. I love that. It's really rewarding as a viewer.
It was. They nailed it on the head with that. They didn't leave. If they did, it wasn't very upfront and present where like you're left with extreme questions.
Yeah.
And the only people who I could compare doing shit like that to was Attack on Titan.
Okay.
Where at the end of the season, they leave you with questions like, I am lost still by certain things. But
That's what I've heard.
They covered, like, they rounded up a lot of the shit from the season.
Yeah.
At the end, with still giving you something to look forward to, but not where you felt like you lost out.
Yeah.
That they could have said in the season.
Yeah.
So it was, I like that draw of it, I like that aspect. They did, the writing of it was well. I'm curious to see if Matt Berry is anywhere else in it, because I know they used his voice for like that robot.
Oh, that was so cool. And then when he showed up later in the show, like in the past, I thought that was so cool. As soon as I heard that robot, I think actually it was in the trailer. I'm like, is Matt Berry Codsworth? That is so cool.
And using that as the really, this kind of really being a thing about like the danger of corporations is very funny that a major corporation is putting it out.
Yep.
Without really recognizing, but it's really showing just that reality and that real danger of life. Even life imitates art, they say. Even right now, to have that, and if you could sit back and grasp and be like, God damn, these corporations are just fucking us over. They just don't care about shit. You could apply that to reality right now
Yeah.
for so many things, and just look at it and be like, yeah, they are fucking us over. So I think I don't know if that has resonated with a lot of people yet, or if they kind of internalize without really, they unknowingly resonated with it. Like they didn't really grasp why they resonated with it. It's like because
I'm sure there's plenty of people.
Yeah,
I think that's why. I think that at the end of the day, there's a lot of Fallout fans. Get away from this, please. That's my cat that I'm yelling at. There's a lot of Fallout fans that I don't think understand the notion. Well, we're not going to get political on the show, but it's crazy that this show, or the franchise as a whole, is kind of like making fun of the like very dated concepts that we had obviously in real life in the like 50s and 60s, like concepts about the Red Scare and moving forward, like concepts about war and like what it means to be, you know, like a patriot and to love your country, and what it means to fight for your country. Like all of these elements that are in this show or in the franchise, like with the games and everything, and how it all kind of leads to like everything that's messed up that happens in the world can be traced back to people in suits that aren't actually doing any of this. They're just kind of orchestrating things. They're, you know, pulling the strings. They have the affluence and the influence and the power to do something like that. I don't know if a lot of people get that. It's kind of like, it's kind of like X-Men, you know what I mean? Honestly,
very much so, yeah.
If you want to talk about something else, I think that with X-Men 97, luckily people have been really liking it, myself included, but there's always going to be this like very loud vocal minority of people, ironically, going like, well, this is dumb because what is this? And I'm like, that's a real thing that exists, baby. Sorry to tell you. They're like, why is this happening? It's like when people that like try to critique the X-Men as a whole say like, well, why are they treated differently than other superheroes? And I'm like, you're asking the main question. That's the main question.
And they specifically talk about it if you would just pick up a book or watch something.
Yeah. But also apply that to real life, and that's the same thing with Fallout, where if you can look at this, that big reveal that they do in the Fallout show, where they're showing all of the people, all of the different companies kind of be like, this is our master plan. That was scary, and it should be scary to you. You should go, oh my God, like this is crazy mustache twirling villainy that could happen in real life.
Very much so, because all it took was they were all in disagreement with it until the notion of you could control your own thing, plowed out the way you see fit. And immediately all of them was like, okay, cool. It's just that abuse and use of power that they wanted. And it ultimately like changed everything. And it's fucking insane. But it also, like going forward in the show, I want to see them get their just fucking due. Like what is going to happen? Because also with Moldaver being around for that amount of time. So far that's two other characters in opposition to the corporations. Who else?
There's gotta be more.
There has to somehow, some way be more, or there has to be even maybe people on the Votech sides who are like
kind of
soured on
realized what they're doing. Hopefully someone with a conscience, right?
What this shit is wrong.
We don't know what's going to happen with the wife. We don't know. We don't know anything that's happened with her since basically the last time we see her in the show is when she's in that boardroom meeting. You don't see what happens after he realizes, because he's, you know, spying on them and is kind of like getting an inside look to everything. You don't see anything what happens past that. So there's a lot of storytelling left to do. Which is fun because they didn't resolve. They didn't, like you had said earlier, they didn't leave big questions except for things that can be played out in further storytelling.
Yeah, not shit that should have been answered in the first
Exactly.
season.
And that's really cool because now it's like, all right, well, I wonder what she thinks. What kind of conversation did they have after that? Why did they go into, well, I mean, it kind of answers it a little bit, but like, obviously, you spend the whole time through the show thinking that his wife and his daughter got like turned into chattering lifeless skeletons, like in Terminator 2, like just obliterated.
Very cartoonish.
Yeah, but that the reveal, another one of those reveals, is that they're still around to some degree, whatever that looks like. And the implication could be like if they're in a vault and he chose not to because he seemed very resistant to that idea moving forward, and now he's kind of like anti all of that because he knows so much. I'd love to see more. I'm hoping we get to see more of that story play out because maybe what does she think? You know what I mean? There's just so many things where it's like, okay, what do these people think? I can't wait to see.
I think this is gonna play on. I think the stories are very intertwined. Her and McClane and Walt is very intertwined.
Yeah.
You have Maximus going on
with the Brotherhood.
Yeah, with the Brotherhood, and him still being conflicted.
I just want to say, really quickly, that actor, I don't even know his name off the top of my head. He's really, really fucking good. I didn't, like, from the opening scene he was in, I'm like, oh yeah. He's my breakout. I knew Walton Goggins was going to be a fantastic cowboy, and he was great and one of my favorite characters for sure. I knew I was gonna like Ella Purnell's character because I think that playing that like that almost like goody character and watching them eventually get corrupted by reality in different degrees, and that mainstay, the Captain America type, right?
Yeah.
She kind of is that person, and I thought she was really good at it. But the actor that played Maximus was so compelling for me. And seeing him like play out his scenes and kind of be like, this poor guy is just this like, I don't know, it's just really compelling. He's like a zealot, but he's kind of like, he's doing it for the wrong reasons because he thinks he's doing it for the right reasons. He's indoctrinated, he's completely brainwashed, but at the same time, he's breaking away from that. He's a little psychotic. He's it's just so good.
He dropped that great line too. Shout out to the writers. I got to start getting this writer's name more. It's
some good lines.
Everybody wants to save the world, they just don't agree on how.
Yes, really good line.
Yeah, and it's like that encapsulates so much of what's also going on in different ways.
I really liked it. I thought he was great.
I was happy that he let Michael Rappaport die. Yeah. To be honest, like when that happened, I was like, oh, this sounds kind of like fucking Michael Rappaport, but he doesn't get acting in good shows.
No, that was such a weird reveal.
Yeah, man, it was him.
Michael Rappaport had time, I guess, to do Fallout for an episode.
Somehow, yeah. But the fact that he died so quickly, I was like, that feels justified.
And then him like letting him die, like him having this steadfast notion of like, I want to rise the ranks, and that was so cool because he gets what he wants at the end of the season. But you can tell that's not what he wants anymore because he's found some companionship. He's found more about the world. He found out that he's learning more that he's in an organization that's not very
that's fucked up.
Good. He's probably my favorite character from the show. I wasn't expecting that. I thought that he was really, really good.
Also, his boy from the camp, who they set out to beat his ass when you first see him.
Oh, the Diet Michael Cera?
Yeah.
He was great.
He was great. And it's funny because he was also in Superstore.
Yes, he was.
Fucking hilarious. I love the cat. But it's funny now because people are going around saying, like, do you know how old he is? Do you know how old this man is? And some people are saying young. It's like, the cat's 42. The cat is 42.
That completely, I believe that 100%. Those kind of guys don't age the way that you would expect.
They're one of those rare breeds where it's like, I know you have to be older, but goddamn, like you that old, yeah. So it's surprising, but yeah, he did a good ass job.
He was great. Their whole dynamic was just fantastic.
And that was interesting for him too, to get to the end and being like, oh wait, these people are bad.
Yeah.
The people that I've been with are bad.
And they're gonna kill me for not something that's out of my control because they're zealots themselves. You know what I mean?
Because he unwittingly became a ghoul.
He became a ghoul. Spoilers, we already talked about it. He got turned into a ghoul by inhaling a tincture from a chicken fucking doctor. So good.
Even the what did he say after he got the syrup? I think he was like, oh man, this is like that worry about being radiated. He was like, worry about that. He was like, well, you don't have to worry about that now. It's like,
I didn't even know what was happening in that first scene. I'm like, is he just like hallucinating that he's doing this? Because there's so many drugs in Fallout, like the game, that do different shit to you. Yeah. And I was kind of like, is this a representation of something I'm not getting? But then, of course, later you're like, oh no, he just got turned into a monster.
Yeah, because at first I thought it was the dog. I did think it was the dog who did it to him, like the dog licking his wounds.
Oh.
But then it's like, no, it's because of
that horrible thing.
Fucking doctor.
Yeah. Oh, so good. There's just so many little things, and they have an opportunity to do a lot more. There's Easter eggs in the show. They have the opportunity to do more. It didn't have to do the like. I'm gonna compare it to the Dungeons and Dragon movie again. I don't know if I did that last time. I think I did. They didn't like take you out of the show or take you out of the story to be like, this is a huge nod to how a gameplay mechanic works.
Yeah.
They just kind of like did these cool little things that if you want to read it as, oh, if I'm looking at it from the game standpoint, they did this in the game. Instead of being like, we gotta get this in. We gotta get this notion.
Yeah.
They did the same thing with the Dungeons and Dragons movie, and with this, they did a similar thing where it's like they didn't stop and like force you to do these long, slow-moving things that happen when you're playing a video game.
It's a big respect to the fans, and it's a big respect to the writing aspect of it, I believe, because something
fantastic
like,
writing.
It's been around for a long time. The game's been around for a while. You got dedicated fans.
Mm-hmm.
What I could compare it to is Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII is considered one of the best Final Fantasies, considered one of the best games of storytelling. I remember when Advent Children came out, I watched a Japanese bootleg copy that my friend had. And it was like perfectly it, but there was no subtitles.
Okay.
And he was like, yo, you want to watch this? And I was like, do you know anything about the show? He's like, no. I was like, all right, well, I was like, I'm going to watch it though, because I know everything about the game.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, and even though it was all in Japanese, I thought I understood what was happening, what was going on. And then when it came out in English, I realized, oh no, I did. I understood exactly what was going on, minus some things. But it was the notion that it played heavily to, if you know the story, you know the story. We're going to respect that you know the story, and we're not going to try to, like you said, draw out these things or explain what is going on. We're just going to have it, and you should be able to catch it if you know it. But the other instance of where the writing and directional of it is a very big part being good is because it's doing that while simultaneously doing, hey, if you don't know this, we're still going to cater to you as well to where you won't feel out of the loop.
Yeah.
Where you could come back, you could find out about the history, come back and look and see it through a different lens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a very good thing to see and for them to do.
Yeah. It's hard to do that like that too. It's very easy to sit and explain how something is the way that it is, like to a person that might not know. And that's not rewarding for people usually, I feel like. And they avoided doing that in the show, which I gotta say, just fantastic. I really dug it.
This this is interesting because this is the first one where we decided we will be watching it.
Yeah.
And then it's over.
It's
so
over.
We can talk about we did watch it.
Yeah, I think we're a little biased on. I think we're a little biased on the whole notion of like them dropping it all at once, because then we were able to watch all of it and then come back and talk about it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, X-Men still has a few more episodes before we can come back.
yeah, we still have a few more left. God, yeah, I'm excited to do that. As you can, I'm sure you could glean that would be something that would happen in my head.
Yeah.
Can't wait to talk about it.
No, even after after episode 5, I was like, I need this to be over so bad so we can talk about this. Yeah, so it's good to see. I guess this is the first, not even just certified, but even first one I was like, decided to watch it, and afterwards felt like, okay, cool, that was definitely worth
watching.
Yeah, that was definitely worth watching.
If we had some sort of scale, which we don't, but at the very end, you had mentioned earlier about like being worried about suggesting this to people. I haven't. I've been like, you should watch this. I have a coworker who doesn't know anything about this, and I was like, you should watch it. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I told. It was funny. I was with Kara yesterday. We were hanging out, and I told her, I was like, have you watched it? And she was like, no. I was like, oh, okay. She's like, but I played the games. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? I was like, you played the games?
And
she
you
was
didn't watch the show? That's crazy.
She told me some of the games she played. And I was just thrown off by that part. I was like...
I'm sure there's other people that are like that.
Yeah, I was like, you should watch the show. I was like, if you played the games and you liked the games and you thought the games were good, you should watch it. Because you enjoy, like, everything about it.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
It made me start playing the games again, too. Just because I'm like... Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of edits online of people playing the games again. I think that's cool. Maybe we'll eventually get a new one, because it's been like, I'm not counting Fallout 76 because it's like an online game.
Do you want another New Vegas?
Yeah, well, I know. Okay, I'm gonna sell myself out right now.
Be controversial?
No, I'm gonna sell myself out right now and let you know that I never finished Fallout New Vegas. It was one of those things where I played it when I first had it.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, we would have a console, we would have a game, and then we would get rid of that console to get a different console. It was one of those things where I was always like getting rid of games and getting rid of systems to get something else, because it was this revolving door. It was the GameStopification of games, where it was like, you couldn't really accrue these things. It was kind of like constantly having to do trade-ins and stuff like that to get other stuff moving forward. So I never finished New Vegas. And you can't play it on PlayStation unless you stream it using the PlayStation Now, which is terrible.
That cloud?
Yeah, it's so bad. God forbid your internet goes out and like you lose I tried it too. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna finish New Vegas. And so I'm hoping that with the success of the show, they make those games available to like just download again.
Please, for the love of God. Because there's even a Batman game, part of the Arkham run, that you can't get on PlayStation 5. You can get all the other ones. The one that came before it, and nope, you can't get it. And it's like...
Just drop them all out, come on. I know this one's particular because Bethesda and everything like that they're like indelibly tied to Microsoft now, right?
Well, Microsoft doesn't want to make consoles anymore, so they're bowing out of the console game and just want to do games. Which, if that's so...
Well, the console wars thing is dumb.
It is, because PlayStation's always been better.
Well, I agree, but the concept of like doing exclusives is so dumb. If you want people to play your game, just release it. I mean, Nintendo's never going to do that, but like these other ones, Nintendo's a beast upon itself, separate than I feel like the other ones.
And that's probably why they purposely keep their graphics different.
Yeah.
so they don't have to worry about trying to.
That's also why they never have their games go on sale, because they're not competing with anybody.
They're themselves.
They have a complete monopoly over those things. It's like, you want to play Zelda? You're gonna have to pay what you would have paid 6 years ago.
Don't pay what it costs.
They are not doing anything else to make it easier for you. But yeah, the console wars thing is dumb because it's just like, make it available to everybody. But moving forward, I think they have whatever they do. I think this is a rising tide raises all ships kind of moment.
Yeah.
Where I think that if you like the franchise to any degree, you'll see a boost, because I think the show is really popular. I've heard. I've been hearing a lot of buzz about the show in general.
It already got approved for second season.
Which, I mean, Prime does that, which is good.
God, yeah. With these adaptations happening, I mentioned this on a different spot before. With these adaptations happening and being very good, my hope is it becomes a beneficial trend where people will take things seriously. Like they have the God of War that they're trying to work on.
Yeah.
And hopefully they take that with another serious care. Warhammer and any other video game adaptations that they want to do, they do with the most serious care and not just fall into these are popular right now and people are loving them. Let's just throw some shit together.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about game adaptation specifically. We talked about this a little bit when we talked about are we going to watch Fallout? Is that historically, game adaptations have been terrible.
Very bad.
Yeah. It's almost like a joke, like, that everyone's aware of. That, like...
Yeah.
And it's the inverse was always true, too. It's like, game adaptations of movies were always terrible, too, except for a spare few. There's a couple that people really enjoyed, but, like, it was this weird thing where neither one was good. And I think that the last couple of years has been very different. We've seen things done right.
Super Mario.
Oh yeah, which I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen Super Mario yet.
Hey, I'll put myself out there. Don't feel bad. I haven't seen everything everywhere all at once.
Oh, okay, that's different. I mean, that's just horrible, but it's not tied to what we're talking about now. Even the Sonic movies, I think the Sonic movies are dumb, which we haven't talked about that.
Or even the show coming out, Knuckles show?
Yeah. Those are fun. I saw the first one. I really liked it. I didn't see the second one, even though I love Knuckles. But I'll probably watch it because I really want to see the third one because Keanu Reeves is Shadow. That's fun. Like, you can do things like that. And also, you know, the first movie was a big deal because... there's a few different things. First thing, it was probably the biggest example of people bullying a studio into fixing something.
Oh, God, yeah.
And they did. It seemed like an easy fix, honestly.
I'm very curious about, like, that situation because they got bullied into it.
You think they had it in their back pocket?
I don't know if they had it in their back pocket or not. Because that was a time when they were doing, they even still do it now, where they'll take certain things and try to make them look very realistic for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
Like, especially, it was something that was in a cartoon, and it's like, all right, we're going to bring it to live action. Let's try and make it look as real as possible. And people were like, no, fucking Lion King. The same way, it's like, no, we don't want that. We want it
There's no expressions in that movie, in Lion King.
Yeah.
It's just animals looking.
But there had to be somebody who when that decision was made, when all the people were bitching, it was like either didn't want to do it and just had to do it reluctantly, or there had to be somebody who was like, I try to tell you guys. And then the after effect of it being so big and popular, they'd be like, God damn, we almost really fucked this up.
Yeah.
We could have destroyed.
They would have ruined it. There wouldn't have been a second one. There wouldn't have been a third one. There wouldn't be a spin-off show.
The success of it could have been easy. And, like, I wonder if that, like, sits in some of those people's mind and be like, damn, we could have really we could have really fucked this up.
Yeah.
This could have been a really bad thing. And shout out to Andy Samberg and the team over at
Oh yeah,
the Rescuers.
The Chippendale. I don't know how they cleared that. That was so cool.
That was so funny.
He was kind of important to that story. He was like one of the main characters. That was cool. Well, not only that, and I always joked, that movie, the first movie, the Sonic movie, came out in 2020. And for a while, it was the #1 selling movie that year because no movies came out that year. It came out in February, and then the world shut down in March. So for a while, I was like, Sonic is going to be the highest grossing movie of 2020. This is crazy. But at the same time, you looked at, like Sonic came around the same time that Cats came out. And you can see the two differences of what happens when people that are putting out a project take criticism seriously.
Yeah.
Because they did not do that with Cats. They just said,
God, no.
you're going to take this monster.
You're going to take James Corden and love him, which no way he does.
You're going to watch this movie.
One of the best things I love, too, about Sonic, which is just, in my mind, hilarious. Well, Jim Carrey being in, Jim Carrey doing a good job. But, John Ralphio being Sonic.
Yeah, he became amazing.
In shorts.
I'm so happy that when I heard he was cast for Sonic, I was like, oh, that's good. That's good casting. And yeah, he's in a franchise. He deserved it. He deserved it.
And it's with Keanu joining it, as Shadow specifically.
Yeah.
Somebody pointed out, they're like, are they going to give Shadow his gun?
Yeah.
Because
Are they gonna kill Maria in the opening scene? That's what everyone's waiting to see if they're gonna kill this small child, which is indelibly tied to Shadow's backstory, and I hope they do it. They can make it like a John Wick parody.
They're going to, especially if they give him his gun or something like that. Well, even regardless if they don't give him his gun, the way that he looks and it's Keanu Reeves.
Yeah,
they're going to do.
They're gonna do. Yeah, they have to.
Yeah, you can't waste that opportunity.
If he doesn't pick something up and throw it and hurt somebody by doing that, something just around him, missed opportunity.
Or if he doesn't fight somebody because of his pet.
Yep. They have the opportunity to do it. Yeah, I'm really excited. I guess Sonic was probably the first one in a while where I was like, oh, game adaptations are back.
Game adaptations are back until somebody decides to try to
do another Street Fighter live action.
Oh my God.
It's not gonna happen, people. You can't do it. It's impossible. Just do an animation.
Do an animation just like the old Street Fighter 2. Looks so good.
Well, it's did you like Mortal Kombat?
The movie?
Yeah. The newer one?
I was torn because I liked the movie, but I hated the original main character.
Yeah. Okay, I liked him. I liked him. I thought, and I'm a little biased for two reasons. I really like Louis Tan.
He's dope. Yeah,
Justice for Shatterstar. And then I also had this headcanon in my head when I was younger of doing a Mortal Kombat adaptation story where the main character was an OC. And it was and it was very similar. Sometimes it was a very similar concept.
Yeah.
He's like a middle schooler's wet dream.
That would make sense because but it was man, bitch, you didn't get anything. They gave you sticks. That was your power was sticks.
He had that cool armor.
Did he?
Yeah.
No.
I liked it. I thought it lent itself to doing a franchise, but then I know they're finally going to do it. It's just, I feel like it was in developmental hell in between. Should have came out sooner, the sequel.
Yeah.
But I think that Mortal Kombat's a little bit easier because those people look like people for the most part, at least their character models.
Yeah, that's
true. You're not going to find someone that looks like Chun-Li. Someone's gonna be mad. You're not gonna find someone that looks like Zangief.
Oh my God.
Or M. Bison. Yeah. I know people love the '90s movie. I did not watch that growing up.
Listen, I love Raw Julia, but goddamn no.
Okay. I don't care. I think that I think it looks dumb when you try to do it.
It was one thing that's been pointed out heavily about that movie is Guile, the most American of American military men, was fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme with his heavy, thick ass accent.
Yep.
Supposed to be the American hope. No, come on, guys.
Yeah. No, they took a lot of liberties. But people like that
bad.
movie. It's just like the original Mario movie. That movie is barely an adaptation.
People are allowed to like bad movies. That's how I say it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but I will also say, like, if you ever tell me in person why that movie was great, just know that I won't trust your opinion on really anything. I'll let you have it, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna trust your opinion. But yeah, that was it. Trying to go for it like Zangief specifically. I don't know if anybody else feels like this, but I have always felt like this since Wreck-It Ralph is...
Zangief had the best adaptation, period.
Bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy.
He's got a great line.
That shit is just stuck. I'm like, if you don't get that,
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Yeah, it's hard to do. And that's the thing, they're gonna try to make it realistic or something, and you can't do it Street Fighter. Like, these characters are like, they're anime characters, essentially. You know what I mean? It's hard to do. It's like live action anime. It's more in that line to, I think, live action game adaptations.
Yeah.
Because these characters are so over the top that it's really hard to do. However, I know that there's a good way to do live action anime adaptations.
What is that?
I don't know. People like the One Piece show.
That's true. You're right. That is true. People do like that. I will also say, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. If anybody real fucking feels like touching that shit and doing it wrong,
it's the one time you can cast white people.
Yeah,
it's the one time.
That's my controversial, non-controversial fucking pick for that is they make them white.
Scarlett Johansson could be in a Full Metal Alchemist show. Make her Armstrong or Hawkeye. She would be a great Hawkeye. She's probably a little too old, but you could do it.
You could do that. Ling, motherfucker, is definitely looking like he was Chinese.
Yeah.
Like that, just the heritage that they had with shit.
You get some Middle Eastern people to be the Ishvans. Like there's obviously room for diversity, but like you can cast. You can finally cast like
your great white hope.
Your great white hope as a lead in an anime adaptation, and I know they haven't done it in the past, but it's been put out.
And then you could say, guess what? We're doing it right. and it'll be hard for people to be like,
yeah.
Because I've had to talk with somebody about it where I was like, you could cast. They're like, you wouldn't want them to be Asian. I was like, have you not seen the show?
They are not Asian.
They're not. I was like, give respect to like the people who wrote it and drew it.
Yeah.
They drew white people. Mm-hmm.
It's very obviously supposed to be a fictitious Germany.
Yeah,
like
clearly, that's what it is.
It's similarly. I'm not an Attack on Titan person, but that's a similar concept there, right? Too. Those people are like kind of like Germans.
Oh, God. That's a whole different can of worms. Attack on Titan. I love it. I love the show. I'm a big fan, but I don't even want to get into that. That would take a very long time to like.
But if they did an adaptation, which didn't they do? Live action?
No, we don't talk about that.
Okay, I'm gonna go any further.
We don't talk
but
about.
But if they were to do like a big budget Hollywood version, they could cast white people as some of the main characters, right? That's my understanding.
Yeah, that is what they could do.
Okay, that's it. I'm not gonna take it any further. I don't wanna burn you up too much.
Yeah, but that's so true about Fullmetal Alchemist. And if somebody does it wrong, I'll kill them.
Again.
Well, not just me. There'll be a lot of people.
People will be mad. I think that one's a hard one, and I've heard people say that like, why even do it? Because Brotherhood is so good.
It is, and it's terrifying because it's so beloved by so many people. Like consistently, for me, I watch the series all the way through. Maybe
I do it once a year.
4 times a year.
Okay, I do it at least once a year. I got to rewatch that show.
I do it sometimes 4 times a year. I have a problem.
It's just so good.
It is, and then I talk to other people about it, and it's consistently in people's, if not their top anime.
Yep.
in their top. It's consistently up there with people who've seen
It's
it.
usually people that haven't seen it.
Yeah, and it's so you try to do some shit with that. It's like
It's a tough one.
you could really fuck up a great story and make people so pissed at you.
Yeah.
So very pissed. But I think that's about it.
We managed to stay on topic pretty well.
We did manage.
It was one topic that we kind of meandered around. We even brought up Fantastic Four once, so we've hit all the notes.
If what's funny is right now this is at an hour and 4 minutes.
Okay,
Which made me think of Fantastic Four.
they're everywhere.
Just there was something I did want to bring up about like one of the characters, but I've forgotten it now.
We're hyping this Fantastic Four episode. We're gonna have to like get Pedro Pascal on this episode and for it to be worthwhile. This is the only way.
I talked to John and tried to get him to use his connects that he never wants to use. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. We talked about this earlier before recording a while ago. I'm gonna do a sign off.
Before you do your sign off, if not today, if not when this drops, very soon we'll be on Spotify. I'm sorry.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Very soon we'll be on.
We're everywhere, baby.
We're in your house. We are creeping around. Also, are we sponsored by Liquid Death or not? I don't know.
You should be.
I am drinking. I have a problem. It's a good problem, but I have a problem.
You can be sponsored by Liquid Death, and I can be sponsored by Chex Mix Muddy Buddies. Please, only the Muddy Buddies specifically. If not that, then the garden salsa flavor of Sun Chips. I'm not accepting any other sponsorships at the moment, unless it's those two things.
Well, there you go. So I guess, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time, I guess.
Yeah, that works.
That's my sign off.